Hi, it's Malcolm and I'm joined with my colleague Wayne. Today we're going to be talking about remortgaging for customers that have had a bad credit history. So if you're with a high street lender, which means you probably had a good credit history in the past but some things happened subsequently, can you stay with your current lender to raise extra money, or the fact that you've kind of had this issue, would that potentially lead to a decline there?
I think that's the thing. As a starting point, I would always try to stay with your existing lender if at all possible. But the fact that you've had, if your credit has deteriorated since you took that original loan out, there is a good chance that they would decline you. Now, then it comes down to, well, how important is it? How necessary is it that you raise any extra funds, or that you do what you need to do? If it's something that has to be done, then you've probably got little choice other than to remortgage to a lender that would accept you with your credit history.
So we talk about a bad credit. We're here talking about things like county court judgments, defaults, debt management plans, that kind of thing. And it is possible to move lenders with that credit history if you've got a decent amount of equity. What kind of bad credit is allowed? So what if I've just had a default recently? Am I going to find it kind of really difficult?
I think so. I think the general rule of thumb is the further away you are from the event that happened to spark off the drop in your credit score, for example, the further away you are from it, the more likely you would be to be able to move your loan. If it is something very recent, particularly if it's things like you've missed recent mortgage payments, for example, you've got to put yourself in a new lender's shoes. A new lender's going to look at you and think, hang on a minute, 2 months ago you didn't pay them, what makes you think that you're going to pay us? And so it probably isn't going to work if it's something that's very recent.
So I've got a 150 grand mortgage with a high street lender, but I need to raise an extra 10,000, say, for some necessary home improvements or to consolidate some debts. Are there any other better options than taking the whole amount of my mortgage and transferring it to one of these specialist lenders that are going to charge me a higher rate of interest?
It certainly would be an area that we would look where what's known as a second charge might be more appropriate. If you think your mortgage lender, they have what's called first charge. They're the people who can get first call on the money. If you default, that property gets sold, they get first call. You could go to another lender and they could give you a secured loan against that property. It would have to sit legally behind your existing lender's charge, hence second charge. But the advantage is at least you can keep your high street rate with your existing high street mortgage and only then pay any more, if you like, more punitive rates, for want of a better word, on the extra amount that you're borrowing, rather than have to pay the higher rate on the whole amount.
So rather than have 160 grand at 6%, I could keep my 150 grand at my 2 or 3% mortgage rate, and the fact that I'm paying 10 or 15% on this extra 10 grand financially, it might be better.
Works out better overall.
Okay. And then what if I'm with a specialist lender and I need to borrow more money, and I've still had since I've taken out a mortgage, I've had another default since then. Can I move from one specialist lender and remortgage to another specialist lender?
Again, the answer is yes. Each lender will have their own rules as if you like, how bad things have to be before they wouldn't allow you to go. And some lenders are more forgiving than others. It's probably the best way of putting it. They will still, they will still assess it within their own criteria. But if their criteria is more forgiving than the lenders that you've just moved from, then there's no reason why you couldn't do it. I think it will always become a law of diminishing returns. At some point, if you're going to carry on down that route, at some point, people are just going to say no.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to see that as a watershed, really. That if I'm doing this, I'm doing it to solve the problem once and for all.
Okay, fine. So real specialist area this. So if you've got bad credit, a lot of these lenders only make their products available through mortgage brokers. So do reach out for us for advice and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching. If you're in the market for mortgage advice, please drop me an email, malcolm@ukmoneyman.com, or give us a call, and please subscribe to our channel.